My name is Leo Park, 25. Freelance illustrator, chronically nocturnal. And until last Friday night, quietly convinced I had my hopeless crush under control. The crush's name is Julian Carter. 27. Former college swimmer turned personal trainer. 6'3", shoulders that make doorways feel narrow. Skin the color of warm cedar. And a laugh that should come with a warning label. We've been sharing a loft in Brooklyn for 10 months, ever since my old roommate moved to Portland, and Julian answered my slightly desperate Craigslist ad with a single text. Saw your post. I'm clean, employed, and I make a killer breakfast hash. Interested. I should have known I was doomed the moment he showed up with a duffel bag, a box of vinyl records, and that easy grin. 10 months of late-night talks on the fire escape, shared groceries, him wandering around shirtless after workouts, me pretending my sketchbook wasn't slowly filling up with studies of his hands, his jaw, the way his hair curls when it's wet. 10 months of reminding myself he's straight, or at least straight enough that every girlfriend he's brought home has been tall, loud, and very female. Then came Friday. I was on the couch, half watching some documentary about deep-sea creatures, mostly just trying to ignore the dull ache behind my ribs that flared up whenever Julian was out on a date. He'd left around 7 wearing the charcoal button-down that makes his eyes look almost gold. I'd told myself I was fine. I was always fine. The door opened just after midnight. I heard his keys hit the bowl, the soft thud of his shoes, the quiet curse when he bumped into the console table we both pretend isn't too big for the entryway. Leo? His voice was low, careful. You still up? I muted the TV, unfortunately. He appeared in the doorway between the kitchen and living room, still in the charcoal shirt. Sleeves rolled to the elbow, top to buttons undone. His hair was messy like someone had run their fingers through it. There was a flush across his cheekbones that could have been the October cold, or could have been something else. He didn't sit. Just leaned against the frame and rubbed the back of his neck, to tell he's nervous. So he started, then stopped, laughed once, short and awkward. This is the weirdest thing I've ever said out loud, but I need a favor. A big one. I raised an eyebrow. If this is about borrowing my Wacom again, the answer's still no. He huffed something that might have been a laugh. Not that. He gestured vaguely at his own torso, then lower. I need someone to measure me, like down there. I blinked. The documentary narrator kept talking silently about bioluminescent squid behind me. Come again? Julian pushed off the doorframe and paced 2 steps into the room. There's this girl live. We've been talking for a couple weeks. Things got flirty tonight. She asked if I knew my size, like exact. I realized I don't. Not really. I've always just kind of guessed. And I can't exactly ask my gym brothers. They'll roast me into next year. But you, he stopped, met my eyes. You're honest. And you're safe. I trust you. Safe. The word landed like a punch I was used to taking. I set my tea on the coffee table so I wouldn't drop it. You have a ruler, do you? But the angle's trash when I do it myself. I looked it up. There's a whole method. Bone pressed, top side, all that. I need a second pair of hands, he exhaled. I know it's insane. You can totally say no. I'll figure something else out. He looked so genuinely mortified I almost laughed. Instead I heard myself say, fine, but I'm never letting you live this down. Relief broke across his face like sunrise. You're the best man, seriously. He disappeared down the hall. I sat there listening to my pulse hammer in my ears. Trying to decide if I'd just agreed to the best or worst idea of my life, he came back with the flexible tailor's tape I use for costume projects. Apparently he'd already planned this, and a wooden ruler as backup. He'd changed into navy sweatpants and a soft white t-shirt that clung to his chest because of course he had. So, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, holding up the tape like it might bite him. Bedroom. More space. And light. I followed him down the hall, feeling like I was walking to my own execution. His room smelled like cedar and the eucalyptus candle he burns when he's stressed. The lamp was on low. The city glowed through the half-open blinds. Julian stood at the foot of his bed, shifting his weight. I figure I'll Get it up, then you just... He mimed, holding the tape along his thigh. I read you're supposed to be fully hard for an accurate yeah. I got it, I said, voice steadier than I felt. He nodded. Hooked his thumbs in the waistband of his sweats. I'm not going to make it weird. It's too late, I thought. He pushed the sweats down in one motion. No underwear. Of course, I'd seen him naked before. Shared bathroom, thin walls, accidental walk-ins. But never like this. Never with permission to look. Never with the express purpose of touching. He was already half-hard. Probably from nerves and anticipation. Beautiful. Long, thick, a shade darker than the rest of him, curving slightly upward. My mouth went dry. You need a minute? I asked. Yeah, just don't watch if it's creepy. But he didn't turn away. He wrapped his hand around himself, slow strokes, eyes fixed somewhere over my shoulder like he was concentrating on a spot on the wall. I should have looked away. I didn't. His breathing changed. Shoulders rising and falling. The soft sound of skin on skin. I felt it in my own body like an echo. After maybe 2 minutes, he let out a shaky breath. Okay, I think that's as good as it gets. I stepped closer. The heat coming off him was unreal. He smelled like soap and warm skin and something sharper. Want, maybe. Or maybe that was me. Tell me what to do, I said. Tape's better than the ruler, he murmured. Start at the base. Press into the fat pad, all the way to the tip. Topside. My hands were steady only because years of drawing tiny details had trained them not to shake. I knelt. Christ. I knelt in front of Julian Carter while he was hard and dripping and pressed the end of the tape gently against the base. Right where dark curls met skin. I could feel his pulse under my fingers. He sucked in a breath. Sorry, I whispered. No, let's keep going. I stretched the tape along the top, careful not to pull too tight or let it sag. The numbers swam for a second before focusing. 8.3, I said. My voice cracked on the 3. He let out a low laugh, half relief, half something else. Jesus. That's... Okay. That's good, right? It's... I swallowed. It's very good, Jules. We stayed like that. Me on my knees, tape measure stretched between us, his cock inches from my face. For a handful of seconds that felt like years. I could see his ABS flex every time he breathed. Could see the bead of pre-cum at the tip. I should have let go. Instead, I heard myself ask, You want girth too? For science? His eyes snapped to mine. Dark, wide. Something electric passed between us. Yeah, he said roughly. Yeah, okay. I wrapped the tape around the thickest part, just under the head. My knuckles brushed him, and he jerked, a small involuntary sound escaping his throat. 5.9, I told him. He closed his eyes like the number was a prayer. Thanks, he said, voice hoarse. I owe you like a kidney. I stood up slowly, rolling the tape back up with fingers that finally decided to tremble. He pulled his sweats up, but the outline was still obscene. Neither of us moved toward the door. The silence stretched thick and humming. Finally he said, You okay? I laughed, a broken sound. Not even a little. He stepped closer. Close enough that I could see the flecks of amber in his eyes. Leo, don't, I said. Please don't say it's not weird or that it doesn't mean anything. Just don't. He reached up like he was going to touch my face, then let his hand drop. I don't know what it means, he said quietly. I just know I've been thinking about you looking at me like that for weeks. Maybe longer. My heart stopped, restarted, stopped again. I thought I started. I know what you thought. Gave a small, rueful smile. I was trying real hard to keep thinking it too. Another beat of silence. Then softer. Can I kiss you? I don't remember nodding. I just remember the first press of his mouth, hesitant, almost shy, and then not shy at all. His hands came up to cradle my jaw like I was something breakable and priceless. I clutched at his shirt, pulling him closer. And he made this sound low in his throat that I felt in my spine. We didn't make it to the bed right away. We kissed against the dresser, then the wall, and finally tumbled onto his mattress in a tangle of limbs and half-removed clothes. There was no rush, just discovery, slow, reverent, a little disbelieving. When he finally pushed inside me, it felt like the answer to a question I'd been asking for 10 months. Afterward, we lay tangled in his sheets, a city light striping our skin. He traced idle patterns on my back. "So," he said eventually, voice sleepy and fond. 8.3, huh? I groaned and hid my face against his neck. He laughed, the sound rumbling through both of us. "Best favor I ever asked," he murmured into my hair. I smiled against his skin. "You still owe me a kidney, deal," he said, pressing a kiss to my temple. "But I'm keeping the tape measure. For science." I didn't go back to my own bed that night, or the night after that. Some moments do change your life forever. Turns out, sometimes the universe isn't holding its breath. Sometimes it's just waiting for you to catch up. My name is Leo Carter, 26, freelance graphic designer. Perpetually broke and quietly, catastrophically in love with my roommate Noah Kim. Noah is 27, works the floor at a high-end climbing gym downtown, has arms that could crack walnuts. And until very recently, I was 99% convinced he was straight. We live in a narrowest brick townhouse in the University District of Seattle. Creaky stairs. One bathroom with a door that never fully shuts. And a kitchen barely big, enough for two people who are pretending they aren't. Circling each other like nervous cats. It started on a Thursday night that smelled like rain and the Thai takeout weed. Demolished an hour earlier. I was hunched over my laptop at the coffee table, trying to finish a logo for a kombucha brand that kept changing, its mind about whether it wanted to look spiritual or edgy. When Noah came out of his room in nothing but low-slung sweatpants, and that expression he gets when he's about to ask something ridiculous. "Hey, Leo." I looked up. Bad idea. The hallway light behind him carved shadows across his chest in a way that should be illegal. "Yeah." He rubbed the back of his neck, the universal sign that Noah Kim was nervous. "I need a favor." Kind of a weird one. I saved my file, closed the laptop, and braced myself. Noah's weird favors usually involve moving furniture at 2:00 a.m., or holding the other end of a climbing rope while he practiced some death-defying move in the living room. Define weird. Exhaled through his nose. "I need you to measure my dick." I stared at him for so long that the silence turned radioactive. He winced. "Okay." Saying it out loud made it sound worse. "There's this girl, woman, her name's Sage. We've been texting a lot, and she asked point blank how big I am." I panicked and said I didn't know exactly, and she said, quote, "Get a real measurement and send me a pic of the ruler." I can't send her a dick pic, Leo. That feels wrong. But I also don't want to lie. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You could just measure it yourself." I tried. I get, like, performance anxiety with the ruler. "It's stupid," he laughed, but it was thin. "You're my best friend. I trust you. And he gestured vaguely at me, at the fact that I'm gay and therefore, in his mind, the safest possible person for this job. Please." I should have said no. I said, "Fine, but we never speak of this again." 10 minutes later, we were in the bathroom because it had the best light and the only full-length mirror. Noah dropped his sweats, stepped out of them, and stood there barefoot on the cold tile, like this was the most normal thing in the world. I knelt. God, help me with a rigid metal ruler I'd stolen from my desk. My pulse was hammering so loudly I was sure he could hear it. "Soft or hard?" I asked, striving for clinical detachment. "Hard, I guess." "That's what she wants to know, right?" I swallowed. "Okay, you do the honors." He wrapped his own hand around himself and started stroking, eyes fixed on the ceiling like he was solving a math problem. I pretended to study the baseboard. It didn't take long. Noah's breathing changed, and when I risked a glance, he was fully, impossibly hard, flushed dark, a bead of pre-cum at the tip. I lined the ruler up along the top. Careful not to touch skin with skin. 8.6 inches. Maybe 8.7 if you were feeling generous. Jesus, I muttered. Right. He sounded relieved, almost proud. I always thought I was average. I stood up too fast and cracked my head on the towel bar. You're done. Congratulations, you have a porn star dick. Go forth and conquer. He laughed, tucked himself away, and clapped me on the shoulder like we'd just finished a successful gym session. You're the best, man. Seriously, I owe you. That night I lay awake listening to the rain and the creak of his bed through the thin wall. Hating myself in high definition, the next morning he was already in the kitchen when I shuffled downstairs. Wearing his black staff hoodie from the climbing gym, hair still damp from the shower, he slid a mug of coffee across the counter toward me without asking how I take it. He knows. Sleep okay? He asked. Liar, I said into the mug. He leaned against the opposite counter, studying me. Listen, about last night. Thanks again. That was probably the weirdest thing I've ever asked anyone to do. It's fine, Noah. I told Sage, he went on, oblivious. Sent her the number. She sent back approximately 300 eggplant emojis and the words, "Can't wait to climb you." I forced a laugh that felt like swallowing broken glass. That's great. Really happy for you? He tilted his head. You sure you're okay? You look tired, I finished. Didn't sleep much. Well, don't kill yourself on work today. He drained his coffee, rinsed the mug, and grabbed his keys. Hey, movie night tonight? Been a while since we just chilled. I'll grab tacos on my way home. You still good with Alpastor? Every self-preservation instinct I had screamed to say no. Instead, I heard myself answer, yeah, sounds perfect. After he left, I sat at the table until the coffee went cold and wondered how many times a person could saw their own heart in half before it stopped working. Entirely, my phone buzzed. Ava, coffee now. Spill about bookstore boy. I'd completely forgotten I'd had a date 2 nights ago. Me. Usual place in 45. Bring tissues and possibly bail money. Ava Chen, best friend since freshman year. Non-binary fashion disaster. Purple mullet currently going through its lime green roots phase. Was already camped at our corner table at Broadcast Coffee. Iced lavender oat milk latte sweating in front of them. You look like death, they greeted cheerfully. Thank you. I collapsed into the chair. I did something unforgivably stupid. Their eyes lit up like I'd just offered them front row tickets to chaos. Proceed. So I told them everything. The request.
The bathroom?
The ruler. The 8.6 inches that were now burned into my retinas forever. The fact that Noah had used my help to impress some climbing gym goddess named Sage. When I finished, Ava let out a low whistle. Okay, first, what the actual fuck? Second, Leo, sweetheart, are we sure Noah is straight? I blinked. He has a vagina on his mind 24/7. That's kind of the definition. Straight men do not ask their gay best friends to measure their dicks. Leo, he said he trusts me. Trusts my dentist. But I'm not dropping trow and asking him to count my inches. Ava stirred their latte aggressively. He could have measured himself. He could have lied. He could have Googled average penis size and called it a day. Instead, he got naked in front of you and let you kneel at dick level for science. That's not straight behavior, babe. My stomach flipped. He's talking to a girl. Bisexuality is a thing. So is being a big dumb baby who hasn't figured his shit out yet. Ava reached across and squeezed my wrist. I'm not saying he's definitely in love with you. I'm saying the situation is weird enough that hopelessly straight roommate might not be the only explanation. I stared into my cappuccino like it might give me the answers. I can't hope, Ava. If I let myself hope and I'm wrong, it will wreck me. And if you're right and you never take the shot because you're scared, they raised an eyebrow. Then what? I didn't sleep that afternoon either. By 9 o'clock, the living room smelled like Alpastor and lime, a TV flickering with some forgettable action movie neither of us was watching. Noah had showered after work. His hair was still damp at the ends, curling against the collar of an ancient Rainier Climbing Club tee. We were on our second beers, shoulders brushing every time one of us reached for the stack of tacos on the coffee table. This movie is trash, he announced during a scene where a helicopter exploded for no reason. You picked it. Clearly, I was high on post-work endorphins. He hit pause and turned toward me. One leg pulled up on the couch. The lamplight caught the small scar through his left eyebrow, the one he got sophomore year trying to boulder the library arch. "Hey, can I ask you something about last night?" My heart stopped, restarted, tripped over itself. Here it came, the awkward boundary conversation, the gentle, "let's pretend this never happened" speech. Sure. We picked at the label on his beer bottle. "Did it bother you? What I asked you to do?" I blinked. "That was not the script I'd rehearsed." "Because you've been quiet all day?" he went on. Voice softer than I'd ever heard it. Like avoiding a contact. Quiet. And I keep thinking, maybe I crossed a line. Maybe I made you uncomfortable and I was too wrapped up in my own idiot head to notice. Relief and guilt braided together so tightly I could barely breathe. "You didn't make me uncomfortable," I said. Not the way he meant, anyway. "Then what's going on?" He shifted closer, close enough that I could smell the piney gym soap he always used. "Talk to me, Leo. You're my favorite person. You can tell me anything." The words were right there on the tip of my tongue. Hot and dangerous. "I'm in love with you, you beautiful, oblivious idiot. I have been for 2 years. Every time you walk around in those gray sweatpants, I want to die. Measuring you last night is going to star in my fantasies until I'm 80. Instead, I swallowed them like broken glass and said, just tired. Crunch week for work." Studied my face for a long moment. I thought maybe, just maybe, he saw more than I wanted him to. "Okay," he said finally. "But I'm here. If it ever is something else," he reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Fingers lingering a second longer than strictly necessary. Then turned back to the TV and hit play like nothing had happened. I sat there drowning. In the space between US 6 inches of couch cushions and a lifetime of almost while explosions lit up the screen and the rain kept Fally. I sat there drowning in the space between US 6 inches of couch cushions and a lifetime of almosts. While explosions lit up the screen and the rain kept falling outside, and for the first time in 2 years, let myself wonder what would happen if I stopped being afraid. The apartment on the 4th floor of the old brick walk-up on Atlantic Avenue had 2 windows that actually opened and 1 fire escape that belonged, technically, to both of us. For 8 months, Leo Parker and I had lived on opposite sides of a thin wall and shared that fire escape. It's like it was neutral territory in a war nobody had declared yet. Leo moved in first. I came 3 weeks later, hauling a suitcase and a dying pothos plant up for flights because the elevator had been broken since 1998. He was sitting on the landing, smoking a cigarette, when I reached the top. Sweat-soaked and cursing. He didn't say hello. He just took the suitcase out of my hand, like it weighed nothing, and carried it the rest of the way. Then he came back for the plant. That was the first time my stomach flipped over Leo Parker. He was tall, unfairly tall, with dark hair that never quite lay flat and hazel eyes that changed color depending on what he was wearing. He played guitar in 3 different bands, none of which ever made money, and he could fall asleep anywhere, the couch, the floor. Once standing up in the shower when he was drunk. I learned all of this slowly. The way you learn someone when you're trying very hard not to fall in love with them, because Leo was straight. Or at least, that's what I told myself every time he walked around the apartment in nothing but low-slung sweatpants. Every time he crashed on my bed after gigs because his room was too hot. Every time he looked at me a half-second longer than necessary, and I had to pretend I didn't notice. I'm gay. I've been out since I was 16. I've never made a secret of it, Leo knew. He'd met my exes, listened to me complain about dating apps, once punched a guy in a bar for calling me a slur. He was the best friend I'd ever had, and I was hopelessly, painfully in love with him. Then came the night everything cracked open. It was late October. It's cold enough that the windows fogged when we breathed. Leo had been weird for weeks. Quieter, jumpy, disappearing for hours with excuses that didn't quite land. That night, he came home after midnight carrying a bottle. of red wine and a face like the world was ending. I was on the couch in pajama pants in one of his old band t-shirts because of course I stole his clothes when he wasn't looking. The TV was on, but I wasn't watching. I was thinking about how I'd almost asked him to come to my sister's wedding with me next month and then chickened out at the last second. He dropped onto the couch beside me, closer than usual. Opened the wine with his teeth because we could never find the corkscrew. Took a long drink straight from the bottle and passed it to me. I broke up with Julianne, he said. I blinked. Julianne was the girl he'd been talking to for 2 months. The one he kept mentioning, but I'd never met. The one whose name made my chest hurt every time he said it. Oh, I said. I'm sorry. Don't be. He stared at the TV without seeing it. She doesn't exist. The words didn't make sense at first. I turned to him. What? There is no Julianne. His voice was raw. I made her up. I waited for the punchline. It didn't come. Why the hell would you do that? I asked. He laughed, but it sounded broken. Because I'm a fucking coward, Noah. He wouldn't look at me. His hands were shaking. I'd never seen Leo shake. I needed a reason, he said. A reason to talk about. Feelings about being confused. About wanting things I didn't know how to say out loud. So I invented this girl who was supposedly making me question everything. And every time I talked about her, I was really talking about. He stopped. Took another desperate swallow of wine. Talking about what? I whispered. He finally looked at me. And God, the fear in his eyes. I'd never seen him scared of anything. Not stage fright, not his parents, not the time we almost got mugged in Bushwick. You, he said. I was talking about you. The room went still. I couldn't breathe. I've been losing my mind for months, he went on, words tumbling now like he couldn't stop them. Every time you laugh at one of my stupid jokes. Every time you fall asleep on my shoulder during movies. Every time you walk around this apartment like you don't know you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. I broke up with Sarah last year because I couldn't stop comparing her to you. And I couldn't tell you that because what if you laughed? What if you moved out? What if I ruined the only thing that makes sense in my entire life? I stared at him. My heart was trying to climb out of my throat. Leo, I managed. I'm not. I don't know what I am, he said. I've only ever dated girls. I've never looked at a guy and felt this, whatever this is. But I look at you and I can't breathe, Noah. I can't think. I write songs about you and tell everyone there about someone else. I made up a whole fake girlfriend because I was too scared to say your name out loud. Dragged a hand through his hair. That night last month, he said, quieter. When we got drunk and fell asleep on the fire escape watching the sunrise, I wanted to kiss you so badly I thought I was going to die. I laid there for hours, pretending to be asleep just so I could keep my arm around you. I remembered that night. I remembered every second. I remembered how I'd lain awake listening to his heartbeat and telling myself not to ruin everything. Say something, he begged. Please, even if it's that I'm an idiot and you're not. If you don't, just say something. I couldn't speak, so I did the only thing I could think of. I kissed him. It was clumsy at first, noses bumping. Wine on both our tongues, 8 months of wanting crashing into each other all at once. Then his hands found my face and mine fisted in his. Hoodie and the kiss turned into something that felt like falling and flying at the same time. When we pulled apart, we were both shaking. I've been in love with you since the day you carried my dying plant up for flights of stairs, I said against his mouth. Since you left half your sandwich on my desk when I forgot to eat. Since you learned how I take my coffee and never forgot. 8 months, Leo. 8 months of pretending I didn't want to do exactly this every single day. He made a sound like a sob and kissed me again. Harder this time, like he was afraid I'd disappear. I'm terrified, he whispered when we broke apart. I don't know what this means for me. I don't have labels or answers. I just know I want you. I want this. I want us. If you'll have me, even if I'm a mess about it. I laughed, wet and overwhelmed. I've been a mess about you since day one. We'll figure it out together. He rested his forehead against mine. Can we go slow? He asked. I want to do this right. I want to deserve you. You already do, I said. But yeah, we can go slow. That night, We didn't have sex. We just kissed for hours on the couch like teenagers, learning the shape of each other's mouths, laughing every time we accidentally bit a lip or knocked foreheads. At some point, we moved to the fire escape, sharing a blanket, city lights flickering below us. He fell asleep with his head on my shoulder, just like that night in September. But this time I didn't lie awake pretending. This time I kissed the top of his head and whispered, "I love you," into the dark. And he stirred just enough to mumble it back. 8 months of longing, of fake girlfriends in careful distance, dissolved into the cold October air, and for the first time in almost a year, everything finally felt right. My name is Julian Vale, and for the last 9 months, I've been quietly, painfully in love with my best friend Noah Callahan. We met the first week of grad school, both of us 24, both terrified, both pretending we weren't. Noah had this easy laugh that made lecture halls feel smaller, and dark curls that fell into his eyes when he was thinking too hard. I noticed everything about him from the start, the way he chewed on the end of his pen, the way he always saved me the last sip of his coffee, the way he could quote entire scenes from old movies but stumbled over his own feelings. Like they were written in a foreign language, we became inseparable. Study sessions bled into late-night diner runs. Diner runs became crashing on each other's couches. Couches became shared inside jokes and playlists and a level of comfort I'd never had with anyone. And somewhere along the line, comfort turned into longing on my end. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I could live with it. I told myself 1,000 lies while I watched Strayed Xanaro. Noah dated a string of perfectly nice women who never quite seemed to stick. Then came the night. Everything tilted. We were in my apartment, halfway through a bottle of red wine. Some indie movie neither of us was watching flickering on the TV. Noah was sprawled on the opposite end of the couch, one foot tucked under him, the other nudging my thigh like it always did, casual, thoughtless. Except tonight, his socked foot lingered a second longer than usual. "Jules?" said suddenly, voice low. I turned. His eyes were fixed on me, serious in a way that made my pulse stutter. "What's up?" He swallowed. "Can I ask you something kind of huge?" "Always." He sat up straighter, dragging a hand through those curls. "If, hypothetically, your best friend told you he thought he might be not straight, like at all, what would you say?" The room went very quiet, except for the low hum of the refrigerator. I set my wineglass down carefully, afraid my hands would shake. I'd say I'm proud of him for saying it out loud, and that I'm here, whatever he needs. Noah's gaze dropped to his lap. "And if that best friend," said the person who made him question everything, "was you." My heart stopped, then restarted twice as fast. "Noah." He looked up, eyes wide and terrified and hopeful all at once. "I don't know what I'm doing, Julian. I just know that when I think about kissing someone and it actually feels right for the first time in my entire life, it's you I picture. And I'm freaking out because what if this wrecks us? What if I'm wrong? What if I crossed the couch in one movement and kissed him? It was clumsy at first. Both of us surprised by it, but then his hands came up to cradle my face, and the angle shifted and suddenly it was perfect. Soft, then not soft at all. When we broke apart, we were breathing hard, foreheads still touching. "Does that answer your question?" I whispered. He laughed, shaky and disbelieving.
"I think it might." We talked for hours after that.
Curled up on the couch, trading truths like secrets we'd both been keeping for months. He told me about the way he'd started noticing men on the street and panicking, because none of them were me. I told him how many nights I'd lain awake cataloging every almost moment between us. Terrified of ruining the best thing in my life, at some point his hand found mine and stayed there. "I'm scared," admitted near dawn, voice raw. "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be the guy who uses you to figure himself out, and then you won't be," I cut in. "But Noah, listen to me. If we do this, I need you to be sure. I'm already all in. I have been for months. I can't be your trial run." He shifted so we were eye to eye. "Julian, I'm sure about you. I'm not sure about labels or what tomorrow looks like or how to tell my parents, but I'm sure I want this. I want you. That's the only thing I'm not confused about. I searched his face and found nothing but honesty. Okay, I said, the word barely audible. Then let's be terrified together. He kissed me again, deeper this time. The conversation dissolved into hands and heat and 9 months of tension finally snapping. We made it to my bedroom somehow, shedding clothes and hesitation in equal measure. It was urgent and clumsy and perfect laughter when elbows knocked. Whispered apologies that turned into gasps. The slow, reverent way he mapped my body like he was memorizing it. Afterward, tangled in sheets in each other, he pressed his face into my neck and said, voice trembling, I didn't know it could feel like that. Like coming home. I held him tighter and didn't trust myself to speak. Morning came soft and gold through the blinds. I woke first, Noah's arm heavy across my waist, his breathing steady against my shoulder. For one terrifying second, I braced for regret, for the inevitable awkwardness, but it never arrived. Instead, there was only warmth, safety, the quiet certainty that this was where I was supposed to be. Noah stirred, blinking sleepily at me. A slow smile spread across his face when he realized I was watching. Hi, he croaked. Hi, yourself. He reached up to trace my cheekbone with one thumb. Still real? Still real? Relief flooded his expression. He scooted closer, tucking his head under my chin like it was the most natural thing in the world. Good, because I meant it, Jules. All of it. I'm not going anywhere. We stayed like that for a long time, trading lazy kisses and quiet confessions until my stomach growled loud enough to make him laugh. Breakfast? He asked, nuzzling my neck. Only if you're making French toast. Your wish is my command. He started to get up, then paused, suddenly shy. We're really doing this, right? Boyfriends? The words sent a thrill through me. Yeah, Noah. Boyfriends. His grin could have powered the city. The weeks that followed were a revelation. Noah, who had always been affectionate in a careless, platonic way, became deliberate about touch, fingers brushing mine when we passed in the narrow kitchen of my apartment, stealing kisses in the library stacks between study sessions, falling asleep with his head on my chest while we watched movies. We told our friends slowly. Most of them just smiled knowingly and said it was about damn time. His sister hugged us both and threatened to murder him if he ever hurt me. My mom cried happy tears over FaceTime and immediately started planning to visit. There were hard moments too. Noah's parents were traditional. The first time he said the words, I'm dating Julian, over the phone, I heard the tremor in his voice. They were coming to the city in a few weeks, and the dread sat heavy between us some nights. One evening we were making dinner, me chopping vegetables, him stirring sauce at the stove, music playing low. He'd been quiet for a while. Hey, I said softly, setting down the knife. Talk to me. He turned the burner down and faced me, shoulders tense. My parents get here on the 15th. They still think you're just my roommate. I crossed the small kitchen and wrapped my arms around him from behind. We'll tell them together. Or you can tell them alone first if that's easier. Whatever you need. He leaned back into me. I keep rehearsing it in my head, and it always ends with them disappointed in me. They love you, I said firmly. They might need time, but they love you. And if they can't see how happy you are, that's on them, not you. He turned in my arms, resting his forehead against mine. How did I get so lucky? Pretty sure I'm the lucky one. He kissed me slow and sweet, tasting like tomato sauce and home. Later, curled up on the couch, he whispered, Thank you for waiting for me to catch up. I pressed my lips to his temple. You were worth the wait, and I meant it. Every terrifying, beautiful second. Alex had been chopping onions when Liam's phone rang, the knife stilled in his hand as he listened to the one-sided conversation in the living room. Yeah, Mom, I'm bringing someone to dinner next Sunday, Liam said, voice light, practiced. No, not a friend from work. Someone special. A pause. It's early, but you'll like her know him. You'll like him. Alex's stomach flipped. Him. Liam had said it aloud to his mother, even if the sentence had skidded into a mumble at the end. He waited for some explanation, some reassurance. But Liam only ended the call with a quick, "Love you." Talk soon, and walked back into the kitchen like nothing had happened. That was good, right? Alex asked, wiping his hands on the dish towel, trying to sound casual. Liam exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, I think so. She sounded surprised, but not mad, just processing. Alex nodded too many times. Cool, that's really good. Liam set his phone face down on the counter. I didn't tell her it's you yet. I just said I was seeing someone. Guy. I figured I'd ease them into it. The words landed heavier than Alex wanted to admit. He turned back to the cutting board so Liam wouldn't see whatever was flickering across his face. Of course. Whatever pace you need. Liam's arms slid around his waist from behind, chin resting on Alex's shoulder. I'm not ashamed of you. You know that, right? My parents are just old-school Catholic. My dad still calls the pride flag that rainbow thing the protesters use. I have to translate everything for them. I want to do this right. Alex leaned back into him. I know. And I'm proud of you for starting. Really. But 3 weeks later, when Liam still hadn't told them Alex's name, the quiet doubt started to grow teeth. Sophia cornered him at their usual Saturday brunch spot. The one with the chipped mugs and bottomless coffee? You're disappearing. Babe, she said, stabbing her French toast with unnecessary violence. I love that you're in love, but it's Pride next weekend. There's a rooftop thing in Brooklyn, queer only, no tourists, no phones allowed at the door. You have to come. Bring Liam. Let him see there's a world where nobody flinches when two guys kiss. Alex stirred sugar into his coffee that didn't need it. He's not fully out to his family yet. A whole rooftop of gay chaos might be a lot. Sophia's perfectly arched brow said everything her mouth didn't. I'm not asking him to march with a leather harness and a megaphone, she said. I'm asking him to stand next to you in a room full of people who won't make him feel broken for wanting to do that. And I'm asking you to remember you're allowed to want it too. Alex looked down at his plate. He hadn't realized how long it had been. Since he danced in a room full of people who understood every part of him without explanation. I'll talk to him, he said quietly. That night they were sprawled on Alex's couch, Liam's head in his lap while Alex absent-mindedly carted fingers through his hair. So Sophia's throwing this party next Saturday, Alex started, trying to sound breezy. Rooftop in Bushwick. Queer folks only. Nothing wild, just friends, music, those little twinkly lights everyone pretends they're too cool for. I'd love it if you came with me. Liam went very still. A queer party. Yeah, if it's too much, no, it's not. Liam sat up, knees pulled to his chest like armor. It's just public. What if someone from my job is there? Or someone who knows my family? Alex's heart sank, but he kept his voice gentle. It's invitantly. Phones stay in a basket at the door. Nobody's live streaming anything. Liam chewed his lip. I want to be part of your world, Alex. I do. I'm scared I'll stand in a corner all night feeling like an imposter. You won't be an imposter, Alex said. You'll be my boyfriend. Liam looked at him for a long moment, something raw and hopeful breaking open in his eyes. Okay, he whispered. I'll go. The night of the party, Liam changed shirts 4 times, first the navy button-down that made him look like he was going to a job interview, then a black tee that clung in all the right ways. Then back to the button-down, because what if it gets cold? In the end, Alex tugged the black tee over his head again and kissed him quiet. You look unfairly hot, Alex said against his mouth. Stop panicking. On the rooftop, the air smelled like summer and citrus cocktails. Paper lanterns glowed gold and violet. Someone had strung fairy lights between 2 chimneys. And a drag queen named Cherry Bomb was DJing throwback Robin tracks that made everyone scream the lyrics, whether they knew the words or not. Sophia spotted them immediately and launched herself at Alex. Then turned to Liam with a grin, sharp enough to cut glass in the best way. So you're the one who's been keeping my best friend in domestic bliss, she said, looking him up and down like she was deciding whether to approve or intimidate. She settled on both. Come on, pretty boy. Let's get you a drink before you spontaneously combust from nerves. Liam laughed, actually laughed, and let her drag him toward the bar. The first hour was magic. Liam loosened with every sip of his grapefruit spritz. He danced with Sophia, let her teach him how to twerk badly. Let Alex spin him under the lights until they were breathless and laughing. Alex caught him staring at two guys slow dancing near the edge of the roof. Something soft and wondering on his face. This is what it can feel like, Alex murmured into his ear. All the time. If you want it, Liam turned and kissed him right there in front of everyone. No hesitation. Hands framed around Alex's face like he was anchoring himself to the moment. That was when Noah showed up. Noah tall, dimpled. Obnoxiously confident Noah, who Alex had dated for 4 months, so senior year of college, before they realized they were better at being chaotic friends than anything else. Noah, who could walk into any room and own it without trying. Alex fucking Rivera. Noah crowed, pulling him into a hug that lifted Alex off his feet. Look at you, all glowy and in love. Alex laughed, hugging back. Hey, trouble. Didn't know you'd be here. Wouldn't miss it. Noah's gaze slid to Liam, who had gone unnaturally still beside them. And this must be the boyfriend I've heard literally. Nothing about because someone's been too busy being domestically disgusting to text me? Back. Alex felt Liam's fingers tighten around his before slipping away entirely. Liam. This is Noah, old friend. Noah Liam. Noah offered an easy smile and a hand. Nice to meet you, man. Liam shook it briefly. You too. There was a beat of silence that felt wider than the Hudson. Noah, oblivious, turned back to Alex. We have to catch up properly. Brunch next week? I need details on whoever's finally locked you down. Yeah, sure, Alex said, distracted by the way Liam's jaw had locked. Text me. After Noah sauntered off, Liam stared at the skyline like it had personally offended him. You okay? Alex asked softly. Fine, Liam said. Too quickly, Liam. I need some air. He was already moving toward the stairwell door that led to the quieter. Fire escape landing below, Alex followed. On the narrow metal platform, the city hummed beneath them. Liam leaned against the railing, knuckles white. That was your ex, he said to the night. Briefly. Years ago, we're friends now. Liam laughed, a brittle sound. He's everything I'm terrified I'll never be. Easy with it. Proud. He looked at you like he still knows exactly how you taste. Alex's chest ached. Noah and I ended because we wanted different things. He's not what I want now. But he could stand in that room and hold your hand without calculating who might see. He could bring you home to his family tomorrow and not have to write a fucking script first. Liam's voice cracked. I watched you with him and I felt small. Like I'm this project you're patiently waiting to finish. Stop! Alex stepped close, cupping Liam's face. You are not a project. You are the person I want to build everything with. The messy coming out stuff, the scary conversations, all of it. I'm not waiting for you to become someone else. I'm waiting for you to believe you're already enough. Liam's eyes filled. What if I never get there? What if 10 years from now I'm still making excuses about why we can't hold hands at my cousin's wedding? Then we'll deal with it then, Alex said fiercely. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm selfish enough to want all of you, the brave parts, the terrified parts, the parts that change shirts 4 times because you want to look good for my friends. I'm in love with all of it. Liam made a broken sound and pulled Alex into him, burying his face in his neck. I'm so scared I'm going to lose you because I'm too slow. You won't, Alex whispered, holding tight. I'm exactly where I want to be. They stayed like that until the music upstairs shifted to something slow and syrupy. Liam pulled back just far enough to rest their foreheads together. Take me back inside. He asked, voice small but steady. I want to dance with you where everyone can see. Alex smiled so wide it hurt. Yeah. Back on the rooftop, under strings of golden lights. Liam took Alex's hand, no hesitation this time, and led him into the middle of the crowd. When the chorus hit, he spun Alex out and pulled him back in, kissing him deep and deliberate while their friends whooped and cherry bomb. Dedicated the next song to the cute, nervous one who finally got his shit together. Later, when they were tangled in the back seat of a rideshare headed home, Liam murmured against Alex's temple, "Next Sunday at my parents'. I'm telling them your name. All of it. I'm done translating." Alex turned to look at him, city lights streaking across both their faces. "I'll be right there," he said. "I know," Liam answered, and kissed him again like a promise he was finally ready to keep. My name is Liam Hartley, and the night everything changed started with a stupid, drunken dare. We were crammed into the living room of the off-campus house I shared with 3 other seniors at Northwestern. The hockey team, my team, had just lost in the playoffs, and everyone was trying to drown the season in cheap vodka and louder music. I was sprawled on the couch, half watching the room spin, when Noah Kim walked in. Noah was my roommate, my line mate, and the one person on the planet who could read me better than I read myself. He was also, though I'd spent 2 years pretending otherwise, the reason my heart forgot how to beat normally whenever he was in the same room. Tall, half-Korean, dark hair always falling into his eyes, that quiet half-smile that made people lean in just to hear what he'd say next. He was wearing the same gray hoodie he'd had since freshman year, sleeves pushed up, forearms lean and ropey from hours of stick-handling drills. He dropped down next to me, close enough that our thighs touched. The room was loud, but somehow it always got quieter when he was near me. "Truth or dare, Hartley?" Someone yelled from across the room. I rolled my eyes. Truth. Our Captain Riley grinned like a shark. "The biggest lie you've told this year?" I opened my mouth to give the easy answer, something about grades or girls, but Noah turned his head and looked at me. Just looked. Those stupid dark eyes that saw everything. I swallowed. "That I'm straight," I said, the words scraping out before my brain caught up. The room exploded laughter, gasps, someone yelling called it. I laughed too, because that's what you do when you accidentally blow up your whole life. I expected Noah to laugh hardest. Instead, he went very still beside me. Later, when the party thinned out and people stumbled home, Noah found me on the back porch, staring at the stars like they owed me answers. "You okay?" he asked quietly. I shrugged. Guess the cat's out of the bag. He leaned against the railing next to me. "You didn't have to say it if you weren't ready." "I'm tired of lying," I said. My voice cracked on the last word. Noah turned to face me fully. "Liam," I couldn't look at him. "I've been lying since the first time you smiled at me in the locker room freshman year, and I thought, oh shit, I'm in trouble." Silence. "Then look at me." I did. His face was unreadable in the dark. "I've been waiting 2 years for you to say that," he said. My heart stopped. "You what?" "I'm by, you idiot," he said, half laughing, half exasperated. "I thought you knew. I thought that's why you kept looking. I thought I was being subtle." "You were not subtle." And then he kissed me, right there on our shitty back porch with the broken string lights flickering overhead. It was soft and slow and tasted like the lime vodka he'd been drinking. I thought I might actually die from how perfect it felt. We didn't tell anyone. Not yet. For weeks we lived in this secret bubble, stealing kisses in the equipment room after practice, falling asleep on the same twin bed, pretending we were just too drunk to move, waking up tangled together and pretending it was an accident. It was heaven and it was torture. The breaking point came the night of the athletic. I quit. I'd brought a data girl from my econ class who was sweet and funny and deserved better than being my beard. Noah came stag. I spent the entire night watching him across the room in his suit, laughing with teammates, looking untouchable. When my date went to the bathroom, Noah caught my eye and tilted his head toward the hallway. I followed like I was on a leash. He pulled me into a supply closet and kissed me hard, hands fisted in my dress shirt. "You look miserable," he whispered against my mouth. "I hate this," I admitted. "I hate pretending you're just my friend." "Then stop," he said simply. I can't just, yes you can.
Ow.
His voice was fierce. I'm done hiding, Liam. I want to hold your hand at team dinners. I want to kiss you when we win. I want to stop pretending I don't love you. I stared at him. You love me? He laughed, soft and incredulous. God, yes. For ages. I kissed him again, slower this time. I love you too. I'm terrified, but I love you. We came out together the next week, first to the team, then to our families, then to the world. Some teammates were weird about it at first. A couple stopped talking to us altogether, but most had our backs. Riley punched a guy from Michigan State who said something ugly in the handshake line. Coach pulled us aside and told us if anyone gave a shit, he'd handle it. The world didn't end. My parents were complicated, Mom cried. Happy tears, mostly. Dad went quiet for 3 days, then asked if I was sure this wasn't just because Noah's my best friend and I was confused. I told him I'd never been less confused about anything. He nodded once and said, okay then, and that was that for a while. Noah's family was harder. His parents were old-school Korean-American church every Sunday. Expectations heavier than a barbell. When we flew to Seattle to tell them over Chuseok, his mother smiled politely and served us too much food and didn't say a word about the fact that Noah's hand never left mine under the table. His father stared at the wall the entire weekend and spoke only in monosyllables. On the last night, Noah's dad called him into the study. I waited in the hallway, heart in my throat. I heard raised voices Korean, fast and sharp. Then silence. Then Noah came out with red eyes and said, he asked me to choose. You or them. I felt the floor drop out from under me. What did you say? I said, I choose you. Every time. His voice shook. I'm sorry, don't be, I said, pulling him close. I choose you too. We flew home the next morning. Noah didn't speak to his parents for 4 months. Those months were hard. He'd flinch every time his phone rang with a Seattle area code. He started seeing a therapist. I held him when he cried about disappointing his mom, about maybe never being invited to family dinners again. I learned how to cook bulgogi because it was his comfort food. We got through it together. Then slowly, his mom started texting. Just little things, recipes, photos of his little sister's piano recital. One day she sent a selfie of herself holding a small pride flag with the caption, Learning. Noah cried in the cereal aisle at Target. His dad took longer. A full year, but one Sunday in June, Noah's phone rang, and it was his father asking awkwardly, formally, if we would come to dinner. Both of you, he added, like it hurt to say it. We went. It was stiff at first. His dad asked careful questions about my physical therapy program, about Noah's new coaching job with the youth league. He used the word partner once and looked like it physically pained him, but he used it. At the end of the night, he shook my hand hard, too hard, and said, Take care of him. I will, sir, I said. Always. 2 years later, we're standing in the middle of the Chicago Pride Parade. Sun high and hot, music thumping so loud I can feel it in my teeth. Noah's wearing a crop top that says Sounds Gay. I'm in, and I have rainbows painted on my cheeks because our friend Mara ambushed me with face paint an hour ago. His parents are here somewhere in the crowd. His mom is waving a giant flag that says I love my gay son, in Korean and English. His dad is holding a smaller one that just says love is love, and looking like he's not sure what to do with his hands. But he's here. Noah squeezes my fingers. You ready? I grin. Born ready. We've been planning this for weeks. He thinks I don't know. The parade slows near the main stage. A drag queen in a sequined hockey jersey, our friend Valentina, grabs a mic and yells, We've got a special request. Everyone makes some room. The crowd parts. Noah turns to me, nervous suddenly. Liam Gang Hartley, he says, loud enough for the people around us to hear. He drops to one knee, and the noise fades to this perfect, crystalline hush. Yes, I practiced that name, he adds. And the crowd loses it. He pulls out a ring, simple white gold with a thin stripe of blue sapphire. The color of our team jerseys. I have spent my whole life being told who I was supposed to be, he says. Voice steady even though his hands are shaking. Good son, good student, good straight boy. And then you came along and refused to let me be anything less than completely entirely myself. You loved me when I was terrified. You loved me when my own father couldn't. You love me on the days I still flinch when my phone rings. I want to spend the rest of my life loving you out loud in front of everyone, no more hiding. Will you marry me? I'm crying so hard I can barely see him. Yes, I manage. Yes, yes, yes. He slides the ring on, and I haul him up into a kiss, while 40,000 people cheer so loud the ground shakes. Later, when we're back in the sea of people, dancing and laughing and covered in glitter, Noah leans in and whispers, "Remember that night you came out on a dare? How could I forget? Worst dare of my life, best dare of mine," he says, and kisses me again. We keep walking, hands locked, rings catching the sunlight. Somewhere behind us, his dad is taking a photo with shaking hands to send to the family group chat he finally added me to last month. Love isn't always easy. Sometimes it's sub-like closet kisses and silent plane rides home. Sometimes it's choosing each other when the whole world says you shouldn't. But God, when you get it right, when you fight for it, when you refuse to let go, it sounds like 40,000 voices screaming that you belong here, exactly as you are. And that sound is home.